Hello my dear friends, welcome to Canadian Immigration Channel. Many of you were asking us whether or not this whole story about gap in studies is actually true, and Canada does not accept applicants who had 1, 2, 3, 4 years of gap between their studies and their previous studies and of course proposed studies in Canada. The answer is no. It is not actually true, despite the fact that I know for sure about multiple refusals where gap in studies is actually mentioned. But before we proceed further, if you'd like us to assess your chances for successful immigration to Canada, if you'd like us to help you out with study visas to Canada, feel free to click on the link below, cictv.ca/go, and one of our specialists will be in direct contact with you and will help you out to assess your chances for immigration or for a temporary visa to Canada. Now, going forward for this gap in studies. Now, it all comes out from the traditional, if you will, cultural matter, where it comes down to the story where in Southeastern Asia predominantly applicants would study first and then start their career, right? So their life is sort of, split into parts. But that has absolutely nothing to do with Canada. So the fact that traditionally, say, in India, doesn't really matter. I'm not pointing out fingers at the country right now. But say, for example, here for India, right, you would traditionally get yourself a bachelor's degree, master's degree. You may go for MBA. God knows why you would need an MBA at 20 plus, but still, right, you get it and you start your career and you start building it from the bottom to the top. Now, that does not usually apply to Canada. That's not how it usually works, right? I can talk about myself, right? I got several degrees. I got college education. I got bachelor's. I got double master's myself, right? I also have a couple of more college degrees afterwards, or college certificates, right? So when you're trying to align your knowledge to what your life demands, right, there's nothing to be ashamed of to actually have this switch or diversion to sit at the desk, right, to study and then continue your career. Meanwhile, while you're studying, you're also working and so on. So this principle might not work well in Southeastern Asia necessarily, right, but that doesn't mean that your desire to Canada should be stopped because you got 5, 10, 20 years of gap, right? So officers who are processing it, of course, are looking at the matter of traditional, if you will, cultural outlook of the situation. But if you were refused on the grounds of this study gap, you have to know that this reason by itself could not be a sole ground for your rejection on study permit. And in fact, if that is the only matter on the table, and I have to emphasize it in here, if that's the only matter, right? So it has nothing to do with your funds, it has nothing to do with your career. Officers are just saying, well, you look at your case notes, right? You requested case notes after refusal, and you see that the only grounds in here, right, have something to do with, for example, study gap. Of course, there would be something else mentioned, for example, travel history, which is of course nothing to do with your study, with your proposed study in Canada. Now, if that's the matter, if it is clear that the whole reason in here is this study gap, feel free to come to us and we would be more than glad to help you out. If that's a recent refusal, if there is a chance to appeal it in federal court, we will drag officers to the court. We will help you to defend your case, because at the end of the day, again, study gap has absolutely nothing to do with reality. Yes, it's your due diligence to explain it properly to officers. It's your due diligence to actually explain it to them why you need these studies, why specifically in Canada, why officers should believe that you would return back home. But again, if everything was done perfectly, if everything was polished to perfection, and it looks like you were refused again because of this study gap, feel free to make this appeal. Feel free to use our services and we'll help you out to appeal it in federal court. Well, of course, everything is quite individual, but send us an email. We'll be happy to assist you. And for those of you who don't know it yet, or for those of you who haven't marked it yet, please remember we have our next webinar, our next live event on July 31st. So we will be answering your questions online while talking to you live. And that would be on July 31st. Again, mark your calendar. We will put a link in the video description. So we'll see you on July 31st.